Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network channel on YouTube. I'm your host, Mr. Prime Real Estate, Ric Davis.
And I'm your host, the Texas Real Estate King, LarryWBrooks.
Every week, the King and I will provide you exclusive access to our network of lenders, investors, and real estate professionals from both the commercial and residential real estate sectors.
Now, are you millionaire minded? Or maybe you're a millionaire in the making? Make sure that you subscribe so you can get connected to the network. And always remember, the Prime Real Estate Network, where millionaires are in the making.
Create wealth for generations.
What's up, Prime Real Estate Network listeners? It's your man, LarryWBrooks, a.k.a. the Texas Real Estate King. Hey, when you get a moment, go ahead and go over to shoplwb.com. You can see the Pure Hustle merchandise that we had over there, some of our newer items that we have in stock, and of course, I got all the books that I've authored. I'd love for your support. You have a great day.
Good day. Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network show. I'm your host, Ric Davis. If you don't follow me on social media, I invite you to do so at Prime Real Estate Ric. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in residential or commercial real estate anywhere in the state of Texas, but especially here in our lovely city of Houston, I invite you to reach out to me directly on Instagram at Prime Real Estate Ric. As always, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you this week on the show. And I want to invite everyone who's checking us out live right now on YouTube to get involved in today's show. Leave myself a relevant real estate question, submit it in the comment section, and you very well may have your question answered on today's show. Really exciting show for you all. And I want to invite everyone who's checking us out now on the live stream to tag, DM, let everyone know that today's episode of the Prime Real Estate Network is especially geared to all those millionaires in the making, all those that are dedicated to creating generational wealth. Today's episode is going to provide you with all the necessary information on how to build your investment portfolio in real estate and new construction and set you and your family up on a path of generational wealth. Look, I want to take some time to give a huge shout out to the Texas Real Estate King, Mr. LarryWBrooks. Man, he'll be chiming into the show later this episode. But now, if you're looking and you're excited to hear from the Texas Real Estate King, stay tuned because you will definitely have an opportunity to interact with him on today's episode as well. Hey, look, let's take some time, man. I want to give a huge shout out to the team over at Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm. I want to invite everyone in the audience out to the open house that I will be hosting this Saturday from noon until 2 p.m. at 2927 Hackamore Hollow Lane in Houston, Texas. You can check me out. You can see all the information about that particular open house on my Instagram page at Prime Real Estate Ric. And I want to invite buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals out to that open house because it's going to be a really great event and I'm really excited to be putting it on. Let me share a little bit with you all about today's guest. I'm really, really stoked to have her sitting in with us because she is not only a highly successful realtor, but she's also a real estate and construction expert. And she's going to give us all of the tidbits that you need to start off and become a construction entrepreneur and start generating that wealth for you and your family. So without any further ado, I want to thank her for sitting in with us this week. And I'd like to introduce to the Prime Real Estate Network audience, Miss Candra Brown. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you.
No, I really thank you so much for sitting in with us because we talked about this a little offline, but the great thing about hosting a show like this is that I get to interact and talk about best practices with some of the finest and most knowledgeable entrepreneurs in the area. And of course, you with your expertise in real estate and construction is somebody who we were so excited to have sitting in. So for our audience who are being introduced to you for the first time, Ms. Brown, please introduce not only yourself, but your company, your organization, and the type of services you provide to our real estate community here in Houston.
Sure. Well, I'm Candra Brown, and I am a real estate agent. I do own Betty-O Construction and Design, and we pretty much do remodeling, renovation, and new construction. Our main focus is new construction. And we've been We've been doing it for since 2021. That's when I started my business. But I do have relationships and all that jazz who's been in the business for a long time. I just saw a unique opportunity and I went with it.
Hey, look, man, I thank you so much for sharing. Could you just share with our audience about the unique opportunities that those who reside in the greater Houston area have to not only change their life now, but to change their life for generations when it comes to not just purchasing homes, but investing in construction and the like? Because I think there are so many opportunities within the greater Houston area, within Harris County, that could actually change lives. So could you just share a little bit about your experience in that realm?
Oh, sure, I will. So I'm gonna try to make a long story short. Well, I started as a real estate agent like in December 2020. And as a real estate agent, I was, for some odd reason, a lot of my clients were investors. And so they were always asking, hey, for me to look for properties to do fix and flips. And I started, when I'm working with those clients, at times I have to help them with financing and all that jazz. So I started being like, well, I could do this for myself. And I found a property over in the Sunnyside area, which is a very opportunistic area to build and develop in. So I found a duplex in that area. But since I was new to the game, I thought it was like a fixer-upper. But lo and behold, after going through all the ins and outs, the red tape and everything, we found out that it had to be torn down. And that's what put me into the new construction. Because at that point,
Yes, absolutely.
I went from like possibly getting maybe like a $30,000 commission to now I've having to rebuild an entire new construction duplex. And that is a high six figures that I've been able to add to my net worth. So that's pretty much how I got into it. I got into it like a stumble. But there's a lot of opportunity in Acres Home area. They're building like crazy over there. I have a project coming up in that area. It's going to be an 18 townhome development. And I'm like waiting to get to the closing finish line with that one. And then where else? So you have, Greens Point area. There's a lot of opportunity there because that's starting to be redeveloped. So yeah, in Houston, we have a lot of opportunity. And even when it comes to, and you can just stop me whenever, because I'm thinking about how I actually got started. I was a teacher at first. So I was doing part-time. Yeah, I was working as a science teacher at Color Middle School. So it was super part-time for me on the real estate side. And I was able to go full-time once I acquired my first property, which was that duplex. And I acquired that without using my money or credit. So,
no, Ms. Brown, I have to interrupt and I got to ask you this because you've added so many layers. And I know there are so many professional educators that watch us on a regular basis. So I want to help you illustrate for our audience how you've evolved, not only as a businesswoman, but as an investor and an entrepreneur. So when you were teaching at Cullen, were you a homeowner at that time, Ms. Brown?
Nope.
So now, and see, no, because you know exactly where I'm going with this.
Right.
There are so many dedicated education professionals who've been on the job for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And either because of their perceived salary constraints or perceived affordability issues, they have not decided to invest or make that long-term commitment. So what was it that helped you not only transition from education to real estate, but what do you think it was that invisible barrier that when you were at Cullen, because you were gainfully employed, you had health insurance, life insurance,
Right.
You had everything that any bank on the planet Earth would love to have you as an investment partner. What do you think those invisible barriers were, and how were you able to fight through those?
Well, the barriers, I would say, one, because in the midst of all of that, I'm also a mom of 3 and I was going through a divorce. So all of that is happening. So we're dealing with credit issues. We're dealing with who's going to pay what. We're dealing with,
Wow.
like you said, there's security at the job, there's a small amount of money in the teacher retirement account. So you mentioned a lot. All of those barriers are there. And then, of course, I didn't have the experience. So I may have, looked good on paper, so to speak, but I didn't have the capital that you would normally need to start a project like that. I didn't
Right.
have the resources. What I thought I didn't have. I thought I didn't have the resources. See, that's what it is. I was thinking that I didn't have all of these things, but out of necessity breeds opportunity. Once
Yes.
it started coming up, like, okay, wait a minute, I found this property. Now how am I going to get it? Well, I started looking up like owner financing things. And of course, as a real estate agent, we know for the most part how owner financing works. We just never really tap into it. So I
Mhm.
tapped into it all the way in and connected with an owner financing company. But instead of me purchasing a home through that, because I was a renter, I purchased that duplex property. They didn't care about the credit. When it came to the down payment, all those investors that I was working for, I presented my project. Look, here y'all go. Now I have a project. Let's see if the favor going to be returned. So I presented that project to a couple of investors. They provided the investment money for the down payment. And then when it came to, and see, again, I just jumped in the water without a float. But I knew I was either going to sink or learn how to swim at that particular point. So I started learning that, okay, what I probably should have did was used one lender who would acquire the whole thing for me, but I didn't know. So I had one lender who did the owner financing, and then I had to turn around and get another lender to do the new construction part. And I needed another down payment for that. So I just went back to my investment group and, let them know, everything that was going on with the project. And that's how I got those funds. So we think we may not be able to do things and move forward. But again, I did it with bad credit, little to no money, and a whole bunch of personal things going around in my life. So that's really the invisible barrier, thinking that we can't do something or we don't have the resources when we really do.
I appreciate you so much for your transparency because I talk to so many potential investors, those that I feel like are millionaire minded, that want to create generational wealth. And I think my most important value add in their lives is the education piece, to let them know. Let's say, for whatever, there have been credit challenges. We've been recently divorced. We've had health issues, something that for whatever reason, our FICO score isn't as strong as traditional lenders would like to see. There are owner financing options that if you've been at the job, you've been responsible, you have great savings, you may have had an inheritance, you may have received some funds from a family entity that you could use. And those owner financing company that you spoke of, like you said, they're not going to look at the FICO. And that'll put you in a position to take advantage of everything that's going on in this market, because this market is it is so exciting because it's always growing, it's living and breathing. So could you talk about the investment aspect? You talk about the multifamily aspects of your building practices. These areas, Acres Home, Greens Point, these are areas that members of our audience have traditionally been raised in, educated in, worked in, familiar with.
Yep.
Why aren't people like us more fervent as far as seeking out investment in these areas? Because a lot of times when I talk to new investors, they always want to go to master plan areas, some of those distant suburbs. And they may not necessarily always see the value in those Houston, Texas zip codes. So in your investment experience, what have you seen? What has made those areas so valuable in your investment portfolio and so valuable for your company?
Well, for us, it's It's the profit margin. Not just for no, but it's really the beauty of being a part of, like, so I get that because I'm from Greens Point. So we moved out,
Never
right?
said that.
We
No, it's
moved.
funny because I was raised in Acres Home and you mentioned that as well. So.
Yes. So we move out of what we, it may not have been appealing or safe and all that type of stuff when we were growing up. So we move away from them. But then other big companies like Oracle and stuff and urban living and everything, they're coming to buying up all of the land because we don't look at going back to rebuild as an opportunity. We just look at like we getting out. So, but for me, the land is less expensive. Well, they kind of catching on a little bit and trying to go up on the land prices and stuff. But again, that's where owner financing comes in at. And that's another piece that I'm working on now. I'm working with our people to keep the land, because I have the client that I'm working with now, they have like an acre. So, and then I have another one that coming up with 2 acres, and they were looking to sell. So what I'm encouraging us to do is, if you don't just automatically think about selling, because right now the land in these areas are extremely, extremely valuable. What I would suggest doing is partnering up, using that land, because you can use that land as collateral to decrease or totally minimize any down payments when you want to develop. Because it's like, if there was no value in it, nobody would be building over there.
Right.
Big companies, D.R. Horton, they done took up Airport Boulevard. They done took that whole area up. And who knows? I'm pretty sure they're gonna continue building, and that's close to Sunnyside. So it's like they see the value. So we should, follow the money. So that's the profit margin at the end of the day, and being able to rebuild.
A lot of things that we do over at Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm are grassroots efforts where we are at civic events, churches, anywhere where we feel like we can interact with the people. It's almost like running for a public office in a way. What type of events? Where do people meet you? Because you're the type of person with your connections, your experience, and your expertise that people who sign up for your program, work with you consistently, their entire lives can change generationally.
Yeah.
So are you actively reaching out? Can people just reach out and schedule consultations with you? Is your schedule so slam packed right now with all the development that you're doing? Let's talk to that middle school teacher at Cullen Middle School right now.
Well,
who's in that same place that you used to be?
Yes.
How can we get he or she in contact with you and get the ball rolling and changing their lives?
Well, I am on social media, on Instagram. Mostly I'm on Instagram, and then that just posts everything. So I can be reached there, but I do have an executive assistant, and I do have a project coordinator. So if they send me a message or a DM or something like that, they'll review it. They'll get back to me with it. You can go to candrabrown.com, and if you send me a note in the email, they'll review it. We'll get to you. We will get to you. So we got a little system set up. But yes, and then too, I'm a member of HBREA. I'm the treasurer there, so I attend.
Shout out HBREA.
Yeah, so they can. We're having what is it called? We're having an event coming up. Realtors Week is coming up, so I'll be at quite a few of those events. I'm also a member of the Texas Association of Real Estate Brokers. I'm on that board, so you can meet me at those events. NARAB, I'm on the PR committee there. I can be seen at some of the mix and mingle groups, but yeah, I'm be out there.
No. And I thank you so much for sharing that information, because I want to invite everyone in our audience to go to HBREA events.org is the website. They give you the full schedule of events for Realtors Week. You can sign up, RSVP, reserve your areas, because there's so many great events going on next week for Realtors Week that there won't be enough room to accommodate everyone who's interested in being a part of the festivities. So thank you so much, Ms. Brown, for that invitation.
Yes, yes.
I want to ask you this, Candra. When you think back to your upbringing as a young lady, were there any members of your family, your close personal circle, church group that were business owners or real estate investors who served as an inspiration and a motivator for you when you think back on your upbringing as a young lady?
Oh, my parents, they were entrepreneurs. My mom, so even when we were young, like I was always selling something. Candy when I was in elementary school, I was
Right.
selling hair, feathered earrings, t-shirts, all that jazz. So, but my mom and my stepdad, so he worked for Miss Baird's for a while, but then my mom decided to come up with a company, a transportation business called 2 Miles Transportation. So when you're like, what is it, in a school district, if you live within a 2 mile radius or something, there's no transportation for you. But that's a walk, and then if it's raining and all that jazz. So my parents, I think it was my mom's idea though, but they started 2 Miles Transportation for those children who had to walk to school and their parents can drop them off. So I got to see that aspect. My stepdad, I believe he did something with, so he was like into network marketing, and that's kind of like, entrepreneurial vibe going on with the network.
Oh no, you definitely selling. He was a salesman, no
right?
doubt.
So yeah, I got involved in the network marketing and all that type of stuff when I was young. So it's always been around me. And then my stepdad, he was a project manager on the construction side. So all of that, I got to see bits and pieces and grab from it coming up. So yes, I had close family members who were entrepreneurs.
I'm so not only impressed with your transparency and your candor, because I thank you so much for sitting in, because I know with your background as a professional educator right now, as a woman in color in business, especially in construction, it can feel like a lonely place. Mm-hmm. So you serve as probably either a spoken or unspoken mentor for so many in your circle. So I want to ask you this, and this is something that we like to ask our guests every week. I know you spoke about Realtors Week, and we're going to go to hbreaevents.org. We're going to sign up. We're going to come out. From a mentorship standpoint, who did you go to, or who do you interact with in this real estate space? Even as a broker, even as a mom, even as a business owner, are there any books? Are there any videos? Is there anyone that you look to as almost like a guiding light from that standpoint? Because so many times in business, people are meeting Ms. Candra Brown today, and they'll undervalue the evolution that you've gone through to become the powerhouse that they are interacting with when they meet you. So who does Ms. Brown go to for mentorship? Who helps to keep the fires stoked within Ms. Candra Brown, businesswoman?
Oh, that's a really good question, because I have an interesting answer. I am, since we can be candid, I'm kind of a socially antisocial person. So a lot of my talking and everything, I have a real connection. I would say I go to the Lord about a lot. And recently, because at first when I started in real estate, I was with EXP, and EXP Realty had you like in a cloud. There were some people, I'm going to say this, there was a Ariana White with EXP Realty. She was so good at bringing me in and making me feel like I was a part of a team. So that part right there, which wasn't necessarily directly related to real estate, but just making you feel connected. Yes. That right there helped me to keep going, because again, I'm new to the industry as a real estate agent, and I don't have a line of, network, a big network. I didn't come with a book of business, all that type of stuff. I just came with me. So her bringing me into the environment was really good. But recently, I will say, because all these years, it's been me, myself, and I. And which is why I did have quite a few struggles, though. There was a lot of hurdles I had to overcome because I did not start with a mentor. I started with just Candra and the Lord. So moving forward, though, I recently joined the Braden Real Estate Group, though. And Miss Jermisha Godot, she has been an ear to my shenanigans, like the crazy things that go on in my brain when I'm needing some advice on the real estate side, how to move forward with this deal or how to do these things. My brokers, they have been very, oh my God, they've been knowledgeable. They've been understanding. They've been welcoming as well. So I would say I went through phases. It was just a me, myself, and I phase. And then it was the Ariana White at EXP Realty. Welcome to real estate, Candra. Here you go. And then it was the Braden Real Estate Group, really bringing it in, making it really, really closer, like a family type vibe. So that was my journey. But at the end of the day, obviously, having a mentor in the beginning is going to save you a lot of broken nails. It's going to save you a lot of headaches. It's going to save you a lot. So, yeah.
No, I appreciate you so much. A big, huge shout out to the Braden Real Estate Group. They are friends of the Prime Real Estate Network. I've had the honor and the pleasure interviewing the Braden Real Estate Group here on our show before, and they do great work. They do so many great things in the social media space, and they do an outstanding job of empowering the realtors to be their best self.
Yes.
They feel great about putting themselves out there. So big, huge shout out to Nikki and everybody over there at the Braden Real Estate Group. It's so cool to have another member of that team here on the show.
That's cool, I know.
Hey, look, man, thank you so much. Please, before we sign off this week, Ms. Brown, share all your contact information with the audience. And once again, let them know how they can reach out to you, get in contact with your executive assistant. And if all else plays in their favor, have an opportunity to sit down and talk turkey and talk about how they can change their lives with Ms. Candra Brown. Yes.
Well, I am pretty much everywhere at Candra Brown. So on Instagram, it's the Candra Brown. What is it? Twitter X or whatever. It's the Candra Brown. It's Facebook, LinkedIn. Everything is simple. It's the Candra Brown. You can reach me at any one of those. And of course, my number is there on my website, candrabrown.com. My email address is there. Contact at Candra Brown. So Candra Brown is everywhere.
No, Ms. Brown, I want to thank you so much because your energy is infectious. The tidbits that you've shared with our audience, I hope motivate someone to get off the sideline and check themselves into the game.
Yes.
Because here in Houston, the real estate market isn't waiting on you, but it is robust enough for all of us to get our piece of the pie.
This is so true.
So do not feel as if it's too late for you. Don't feel like you don't have the resources because like Ms. Brown told you, there are options for everyone.
Yep.
So Queen, thank you so much on behalf of myself, everyone at the Prime Real Estate Network, everyone at Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm for sitting in with us this week. If you ever need another speaker or if you have an event, just know I owe you one. So just reach out and let me know.
Thank you.
If you ever have a new event that you would like for us to spotlight and highlight to our audience, you always have a seat here with me on the show.
Thank you so much. This is cool.
Appreciate you, Queen. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you. Same to you.
Absolutely. Man, that was a great show, a really exciting guest, man. I urge everyone, if you're here in Greater Houston, reach out to me, get involved. We have community tours. We can get you connected with people like Ms. Brown. Right now, I am wearing the official Prime Real Estate Network Major Player Award. As you can see, this is for those who are millionaire minded and who want to create generational wealth. This award will be bestowed upon all of the new first-time real estate investors that work with the Prime Real Estate Network, as well as all those first-time buyers that work with the Prime Real Estate Network. This award is a symbol to show not only yourself, but your family that you are committed to creating generational wealth, and you are also committed to closing the wealth gap that is developed here in America. So please reach out to me directly at Prime Real Estate Ric on Instagram. You can catch me at our open house. Like I said, everyone's invited this Saturday from noon to 2 at 2927 Hackamore Hollow Lane here in Houston, Texas, man. On behalf of myself, Ric Davis, and the Texas Real Estate King, Mr. Larry W. Brooks, and our team over at Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm, and big huge shout out to our super producer, Jay Joseph. I invite everyone to tune in next week, same time, same channel. And until then, everyone in the Prime Real Estate Network audience, please be safe and be blessed.